Central Processing Units, or CPUs. The Central Processing Unit is kind of like the brains of the computer, also known as the microprocessor. It is the most expensive component within a computer system. Both desktop, all-in-one, and laptop computers all have more or less the same components. The central processor will be the first item that will be listed whenever you are reading an advertisement about a computer. There are two companies that dominate the central processor industry. That is Intel and AMD for advanced micro devices. So when you read the ads, you will see that Intels are in a lot of machines and AMDs are also in a lot of machines. Currently, Intel is considered a little more sophisticated technologically than AMD is, but their price reflects that. So while there's nothing wrong with an AMD computer, Intels are a lot more available and seem to have a lot more different makes and models of them. In a central processing unit, they have something called a core inside them. And a core is what used to be a single chip in a CPU. The reason I say this is because in the literature, you are going to see dual core processors, quad core processors. There are even 6 and 8 core processors out there these days. In the Intel lineup, the Pentium line is the oldest technology that's available through Intel, and thus usually the least expensive, but still an adequate technology. Core 2 Duo is the series of processors after the Pentiums. The most current series that are out are called i3, i5, and i7. And of course, the i3 is the low end of the scale, i5 is in the middle, and i7 is considered their high-end processor. Within those processors, there are both dual-core and quad-core processors as well, which just leads to a lot of confusion about processors. But to try to keep it simple here, I just want you to appreciate the difference between the different generations and how, generally speaking, the higher the number indicates the more powerful, also the more expensive processor to use. For the average computer user in an Intel product, I think an i3 is pretty adequate. Even some Pentiums are very good as well. AMD, Advanced Micro Devices, they are the other company that makes central processing units for computers. And their current lines are in an A series. There are A4, A6, A8. They're up to A12 now. Generally speaking, A4 is the entry level, all the way through up to A12 being their most powerful processors that they have these days. So when you're reading the advertisements, consider that the type of processor in an AMD supplied computer, the reason the A12s are more expensive is because they are a more expensive processor. In the AMD lineup, you will also see AMD FX processors. Those are high-end processors that are generally sold by gamers. So when you're looking at processors, you need to consider one brand name or the other, and then you need to look at the model numbers that they come with to give you an appreciation that the bigger numbers are generally faster processors. And so again, the faster the processor is, the more quickly it will process your demands and what you want it to do. So pay attention to both the model number and the speed measurement that's given to it, because ideally you would want to buy a computer that is as fast as possible.